Welcome back to Soil Sage Chronicles, fellow gardeners. There's something magical about standing in front of a freshly built raised garden bed, isn't there? That empty wooden frame holds so much promise, future harvests of crisp lettuce, juicy tomatoes, and vibrant flowers that will make your neighbors peek over the fence with envy. But here's the thing that many new gardeners don't realize. How you fill that bed will determine whether you're celebrating a bountiful harvest or wondering why your plants are struggling to thrive. I've been down this road more times than I can count, and I've made my fair share of mistakes along the way. From my first raised bed disaster, yes, I filled it with just topsoil from the garden center and wondered why everything died, to the thriving vegetable paradise I tend today, I've learned that filling raised beds is both an art and a science. Today, I'm sharing the 5 game-changing tips that will set your raised beds up for years of productive growing. Before we dive into the specific tips, let me share something that completely changed how I approach raised bed gardening. Your soil mix isn't just dirt. It's the living foundation of your garden ecosystem. Unlike in-ground gardening where you're working with what nature gave you, raised beds offer you the incredible opportunity to create the perfect growing environment from scratch. The beauty of raised beds lies in their controlled environment. You're not battling compacted clay or trying to amend sandy soil that drains too quickly. Instead, you're building a custom blend that provides everything your plants need: proper drainage, adequate moisture retention, essential nutrients, and the right structure for healthy root development. Here's where most gardeners go wrong. They think filling a raised bed means dumping in one type of soil and calling it done. But the most successful raised beds I've ever built follow a strategic layering approach that creates different zones for different purposes. Start with a base layer of coarse organic matter in the bottom third of your bed. I use a combination of small branches, wood chips, and dried leaves. This layer serves multiple purposes. It improves drainage, provides long-term organic matter as it slowly decomposes, and creates air pockets that prevent the soil from becoming waterlogged. Think of it as creating a natural drainage system right in your bed. The middle layer is where the magic happens. This is your transition zone where I mix partially composted materials like aged manure, kitchen compost, and coarse organic matter. This layer slowly releases nutrients as it breaks down, feeding your plants throughout the growing season. It's like having a slow-release fertilizer system built right into your bed structure. The top layer, your planting zone, should be your finest, most nutrient-rich mix. This is where your seeds will germinate and your transplants will establish their root systems. I use a blend of high-quality compost, aged manure, and a small amount of quality potting mixed to create the perfect texture for planting. After years of experimenting and talking with fellow gardeners, I've found that the most successful raised bed mix follows what I call the thirds rule, but with a twist. Here's the blend that consistently produces amazing results in my beds. 1/3 high-quality compost forms the backbone of your mix. This isn't the time to skimp. Good compost provides nutrients, improves soil structure, and introduces beneficial microorganisms that create a thriving soil ecosystem. I source mine from local composting facilities or make my own, but if you're buying, look for compost that smells earthy, not sour, and has a crumbly texture. 1/3 aged manure or worm castings adds the slow-release nitrogen that leafy greens and heavy feeders absolutely love. Aged manure also improves water retention without making the soil too heavy. Fresh manure is too hot and can burn plants, so make sure it's been composted for at least 6 months. The final third is where you customize based on your specific needs. For most vegetables, I use a combination of quality topsoil and coarse sand or perlite to improve drainage. If you're growing root vegetables like carrots or potatoes, increase the sand component. For moisture-loving plants, add more aged leaf mold or coir. This ratio creates a soil that drains well but retains enough moisture for consistent plant growth. It's rich enough to feed heavy feeders like tomatoes and peppers, but not so rich that it burns delicate seedlings. This is the tip that separates good gardeners from great ones. Your soil isn't just a medium for holding plants, it's a living ecosystem teeming with beneficial bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that work in partnership with your plants. These microscopic allies help break down organic matter, make nutrients available to plant roots, and even protect against diseases. When I'm mixing my raised bed soil, I always inoculate it with mycorrhizal fungi. These beneficial fungi form symbiotic relationships with plant roots, extending their reach and improving nutrient uptake. You can buy mycorrhizal inoculants at most garden centers, and a little goes a long way. I also add a generous amount of worm castings to every bed. Worm castings aren't just fertilizer, they're packed with beneficial microorganisms and natural growth hormones that help plants develop strong, healthy root systems. The microbes in worm castings continue to work throughout the growing season, breaking down organic matter and making nutrients available when plants need them most. To keep this ecosystem thriving, I never use synthetic fertilizers in my raised beds. These can disrupt the delicate balance of soil biology. Instead, I feed the soil with organic amendments like fish emulsion, kelp meal, and bone meal, which feed the microorganisms that then feed the plants. Here's something that caught me off guard with my first raised beds. Soil settles. A lot. Within the first few weeks, your carefully filled bed will likely drop several inches as the organic matter settles and air pockets compress. This is completely normal, but it's something you need to plan for. I always overfill my new beds by about 20% to account for this settling. As the soil level drops over the first month, I top it off with additional compost or aged manure. This isn't just about maintaining the right level, it's about maintaining the soil's organic matter content as it naturally decomposes. Building raised beds is an investment in your garden's future, but that investment requires ongoing maintenance. Every season, I add a fresh layer of compost to all my beds. This replaces the organic matter that's been used up by plants and soil organisms, and it introduces fresh nutrients for the coming growing season. I also keep detailed records of what I add to each bed and how plants perform. Over time, you'll notice patterns. Maybe your tomato bed needs more calcium, or your lettuce bed benefits from extra nitrogen. This information helps you fine-tune your soil mix for even better results each year. Timing matters more than most gardeners realize. The best time to fill your raised beds is actually in the fall, not spring. This gives all those organic materials time to settle, decompose slightly, and meld together into a cohesive growing medium before planting season arrives. Fall filling also takes advantage of autumn's natural abundance of organic materials. Fallen leaves, the last of the season's grass clippings, and end-of-season garden waste can all be incorporated into your soil mix. These materials have all winter to break down and integrate, creating rich, living soil by spring. If you're filling beds in spring, try to do it at least 4 to 6 weeks before you plan to plant. This gives the soil time to settle and allows any fresh organic matter to begin decomposing. Fresh organic matter can temporarily tie up nitrogen as it decomposes, potentially leaving your plants nutrient-starved during their critical establishment period. Water your newly filled beds thoroughly and let them settle for a week or two before adding any final adjustments. This initial watering helps everything settle into place and gives you a better sense of your final soil level. Filling raised garden beds properly is one of those skills that pays dividends for years to come. When you take the time to create the right soil mix, layer it strategically, and nurture the soil biology, you're not just preparing for this season's garden. You're building the foundation for years of successful growing. Remember, great gardens aren't built overnight. They're the result of thoughtful planning, quality materials, and the patience to do things right from the beginning. Your plants will reward your attention to detail with vigorous growth, better disease resistance, and more abundant harvests. The investment you make in quality soil mix today will continue paying dividends season after season. As your raised beds mature and the soil life becomes more established, you'll find that your plants are healthier, your harvests are more abundant, and your gardening becomes more enjoyable. If these tips have helped you feel more confident about filling your raised beds, I'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Soil Sage Chronicles for more in-depth gardening wisdom, and share this article with any fellow gardeners who might be starting their own raised bed journey. Together, we're growing not just plants, but a community of passionate gardeners committed to nurturing the soil that nurtures us all. Soil Sage Chronicles.